Welcome to Trionic 7, the YouTube channel for Saab enthusiasts. I'm Jonathan and I'm here in my 2002 Saab 9.5 Aero in laser red. And this is the second part of the Trionic 7 Dashcam install video. In the last video we talked about making a quick and easy install of this Mobius Dashcam in the Saab 9.5. Now we're redoing the installation because I got a new windshield for my Saab. I got a few bad stone chips while driving in the winter and I was able to replace the windshield using my insurance. So this time we'll make a better install than before and I'll show you some of the lessons I've learned. The first lesson I learned was not to buy the very cheapest mounts on eBay. While this is a $1 mount from eBay, an adhesive mount. This mount looks exactly the same like the original ones that you can purchase with the Mobius. But don't buy this cheap crap because this ball joint here, no matter how hard you tie it down, it's still gonna be very flexible. Instead, I purchased mounts that were more expensive. I think they were something like $4 each, but they work much better and actually have enough clamping power to keep the camera steady. I like adhesive mounts because they remain fixed to the windshield and don't wobble and will never drop like these suction cup mounters can do at the most inopportune times. The next thing was the placement of the mount itself. First I did install it a bit to the right here, but I didn't think about this sun visor coming down, so the passenger couldn't even use the sun visor while I had the camera mounted this way. Remember that the USB cable sticks out a bit in the back of the camera. Now I have remounted it to the new windshield and you can see that I mounted it almost at the rain sensor here. So this one is still invisible. It's a bit further down, but it's still invisible from my view as a driver. Also, this sun screen here on the top of the windshield even makes the mount more invisible than it was before from the outside. Up until now I've ran a USB cable from the charging port down here up to the camera. This works, but it's a bit messy and I don't like having this cable hanging down from the windshield as I drive. So I got a new cable from eBay and I'll show you how it looks. So there's a ton of cables to choose from on eBay. Remember that the Mobius uses a mini USB, which is today quite an old connector, but I got this cable and it's a right hand 90-degree angle one. Remember to have this larger part upwards when you purchase a cable, and it goes to the left. And this is a DC to DC converter and it connects straight into your car's 12-volt battery. So I'm gonna use this cable and find somewhere nice to put it and then can run the cable directly to the Mobius camera. And I'm quite sure that there's 12 volts here controlled by the ignition inside the electrical connectors here and the forward light cluster. So we will be opening up this part to see if there's 12 volts available here and then probably splice in and then run the cable from inside here out to the camera. And since the cable is quite short, I should be able to make a nice and almost invisible install of the camera. So there's no dangling around here anymore. This car is equipped with the extra option of an auto-dimming rearview mirror here in the middle, and this is fed with 12 volts. If you have a car without the auto-dimming mirror, I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but I'll try to look into the circuit diagrams and see what I can find. Opening up the light cluster is easy. I used one of these plastic prying tools and carefully pried on the front edge, and then you will remove this cover. Here you can see the screw that holds the plastic thing up. And yes, I have switched the interior lights to LEDs. Use a T20 Torx bit. And now it should just be to pry it down. And the lamp will stay in place. And this is what it looks like underneath. You see some cables here that we're still hanging on to. I'll have to remove them with my other hand before we can continue. Depending on the equipment level of your car, you might find different things under here. I'm pretty sure this part here was a microphone. I just flexed this connector and removed the microphone entirely, and I think this is the glass breaking sensor from the alarm system, and this I just unplugged the connector. So the end result now looks like this. We have access to all the electrical stuff underneath. At this point I opened up the Saab workshop manual and found that the black connector here, which is located here, can be pulled down and opened up. And inside of it you will find 3 pins. One of them is black and one of them is red. And between those two you have 12 volts of power, which is controlled by the ignition switch. I was also able to determine that this feed here is fused by a 10 amp fuse, and that goes to many things, including the radio, the xenon light leveling system, and the auto dimming mirror. So I believe that about half an amp or 1 amp of current to the Mobius camera shouldn't be a big issue here. So this is where we will want to splice into to get power. At this point I decided just to make it easy for myself and remove the rear view mirror altogether. It is held in by 3 screws, they're up here. T20 Torx bit is required, and they were pretty tight for me, so you have to use a lot of patience and a bit of force to remove them. They seem to be captive, so they don't go loose on you as long as you don't unscrew them too much. So this is the entire rear view mirror assembly with the auto dimming mirror, which has this wiring harness here. And the next step will be to tap into the red and black connectors here to get 12 volt feed out to the dashcam. And we are back. I went inside to my workbench and I did some splicing here on the cables. So obviously black goes to black and red goes to red. And I've spliced this with a special type that has shrink wrap on it. So this should last for a long time. Remember, if you do electrical work, don't make it bad, because you will just have headaches with all your electrical problems. So now this eBay cable here is connected into the power source to the auto dimming mirror. So let's put it back and see if it works. So I just rigged everything up, real temporary. The cable goes down, the commuter, and here is the camera. So I'm now turning the ignition. Here we are. And there you see the camera blinking. This means the camera is shooting video. So guys, everything is working. Let's just put the mirror back as it should and try to make everything as neat as possible with the cables. So again, T20 Torx to put the 3 screws back for the rear view mirror. And now I'm gonna try to fit this little adapter here inside the cover when I put everything back. I also obviously put the connectors together and pushed it up into the clip here, and did the original routing of the cables to the rear view mirror. So I'm now gonna try to put the cover back, put the mic back in and the glass crash sensor, and see if we can get everything back. This is just the way I was hoping to install the camera. So we have a mini USB connector with a right hand angle just out of it, so there's nothing going back and poking out. This cable goes up, and that little adapter I talked about, I was able to get it to fit inside the lamp housing. So now it's an almost invisible install. From the driver's hand side you don't see the camera at all, and there's no cable hanging down. And I also put the screw back and made sure everything was tight, and then put the lamp cover back on. So I'm very happy with this install of the Mobius dashcam in my Saab 9.5. I was finally able to make that neat installation I was hoping for. I can now remove this USB cable that was hanging here before. That was almost in the way of the shifting. So now it's neat, just this tape adapter left, and the camera works perfectly, and it is invisible still. Don't forget, we now have a secondary YouTube channel called the Trionic Dash, Tales from a Saab. Click here for a link to that channel where you see some of the driving I do and also some of the guest clips. So this has been yet another video from Trionic 7, the YouTube channel for Saab enthusiasts. Be sure to follow us on social media. We have Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit and Instagram. Or if you want, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube, which will make sure that you don't miss any videos we put up here. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Saab video. Bye bye.